Hello and welcome to the Pain Cave. So on this channel, I teach people, share a lifestyle that is healthy, a health-based lifestyle, and you'll see a range of videos on this channel. So talking about the food. So the food is very important, and you can see other videos on that, and I'll keep making videos on that. But another important part of a health-based lifestyle, so someone who cares about their health, is exercise. So the lighting's not great today, so I'm in the pain cave. So sorry about that. But what I want to talk about in this video is breaking down the barriers, okay? Knocking down the barriers that are preventing you from being able to incorporate exercise, or as I like to teach it, it's having fun moving your body. So that's what I'm going to teach you, how you can be able to incorporate cycling as having fun moving your body. And I'm going to show you, because if you live in the northern hemisphere, potentially you live in the northern hemisphere, or even all year round. So firstly, for the weather, stopping you being able to get out, exercising on your bike, being able to get healthy. And then the other thing that I often hear all the time is, well, I'm just scared. I want to ride a bike, but I'm just scared of being outside. So what I'm going to do in this video is show you how you can exercise via cycling inside, in your own pain cave, like I am here in a garage, in the garage. It could be a garage, it could be a spare room in your house. You know, if you've got a small house, you know, maybe a flat. It's there's no such thing as no room, okay? There's just lack of effort, and you'll be able to find out. You'll be able to pick up lots of little, what do they say, tips and tricks. So I've got my outdoor bicycle here. So this is my road bike that I use outside on the roads. And today I'm not riding outside because the weather is too dangerous. There is a thick fog. And I'll insert a clip here showing what I would say is the weather that is too dangerous and why you should be riding aside. So I'll insert that clip here. Should have got a mountain bike. They said this was a mountain bike. Alright. So I apologise about the condition of the bike. Yeah, so just ignore that. And also, how many rides do you think I can get away with without having to remove the label? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fit my outdoor bike up with my indoor bike. So first lesson here, first tip and trick. Don't use a carbon fiber bike inside. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be setting up what they call an indoor trainer or turbo trainer. Can be cheap, can be expensive, it's up to you. But the main thing is you're cycling, you're riding. So it's going to be on one of these. And I'm going to set the bike up on this, and that'll allow me to ride. But never use carbon fiber frame bikes on a trainer like this, okay? I would say really any trainer on inside. But I have with me here, this is an aluminium frame bicycle. So the frame is aluminium, metal. So I would recommend always using a metal frame bike when you're riding inside, because if you use a carbon fiber frame bike, you could break it, and we don't want to do that. So first things first, you might have noticed I don't have, on this bike, I don't have a pedal, and I also don't have a crank. So I'm going to show you that. That's part of getting your bike ready. So I'm going to show you how to change over the pedals here. So I'm going to put these pedals and crank on my other bike. And yeah, you can see I've got all sorts of spare bits all over the place. So I'm using a torque wrench, but for this, you don't need to set it to a torque. It's just about getting it off. So I've got a little bar mirror here. I'm just going to move that as much as I can out the way for a moment. Just going to move that so I don't knock my knee. So I'm going to grab my hand on the front brake. I'm going to grab a load of brake. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be pulling to loosen the pedal, the thread in the pedal. I'm going to be pulling up towards me. So turning the torque wrench up towards me to loosen the pedal. And I'm going to have my right foot on the floor and then the left foot up. And oh, there we go. Just take that off. So yeah, you need the pedal has to be tight, obviously, because you don't want it coming loose while you're riding. So there we go. So there's grease on those pedals. I think you call it splines or the thread. So I'm going to put that on the other bike. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the crank. I have Shimano here, so you have to have one of these little wing nut tools. So this is a little safety feature on the Shimano cranks where you undo the bolts, then you have this sort of little pre-tension plastic cap, and then you also have a little piece of plastic. Don't know the exact name for it, but it's a bit dirty. But you have this piece of plastic that when you push down, it helps to create this safety feature where it hooks it. The piece of plastic hooks onto the thread in there. So good idea, that, I think. I've just moved the main bike out the way, and now I'm going to just set up my indoor bike, and should always have the tires pumped up. So I haven't used this in a while, so I'm going to pump the tires up. Makes it much easier to use and handle. Quite a long valve there, you see. Probably one of the longest on the planet. That's done. So I've got an indoor specific cycling tyre here on the back from Vittoria. So they have different names. So that's a Zafiro. If you're Italian, you can correct me, but Zafiro, I think. I put about 100 psi in that, and I've just got an old training tyre on the front, and I've put about 80 psi in the front. So I'm gonna put the pedals on. So before you do the bolts up, you have to remember to put the preload cap in first. Otherwise, if you do the bolts up first, this cap will be useless. So you need to put that in first, just hand tight. Now I'm doing up the the pedal on this bike, but it doesn't have any brakes, if you noticed. I'll talk about that in a moment. So what I'm doing is I've just got it against the wall, and to tighten up the pedal, I'm just pushing down on it against the wall, and that should be good enough. And yeah, I'll talk about the brakes in a moment. So there you go, it's all set up, and I'm going to put that on the trainer now. Here it is set up on the trainer. And an important point to make here is, so you've got these quick release skewers, old seeds on there. So it should come with one of these, but you got like a standard skewer, quick release skewer, where, on the version I have, it attaches on either end of the skewer. So that's like a normal one. So you can't use one like that. Whereas this is one that you can use because the lever actually isn't on the end. So if the lever's on the end, you can't use it. So it attaches like this on either side. So you should come with one, but you just need to remember that you can't use a standard quick release skewer. So I'll just walk you through this. So if you're going to make up one of these bikes, indoor bikes, metal, so aluminium's fine. I think aluminium's fine. Overall, I think carbon fiber is the best material for a bike, but I've talked about that in other videos. So the great thing about having an indoor bike is it's really easy to look after yourself. So you can do this all yourself. Very easy if you have a rim brake bike. Okay, a rim brake bike. So what I mean by that is I don't recommend disc brake bikes, disc brake road bikes, that is. Disc brake mountain bikes, yes, fine. So you want rim brake, so like these, they look like these. And the great thing about the indoor bike is you don't need to set it up with brakes because obviously you're not going anywhere. So that removes the need to be able to have to do that. So that's cheaper as well. And all you need then is a front derailleur, a rear derailleur, and then a chain and obviously the cables to make that all work. And what I do with my indoor bike is, or what I'm doing at the moment, and it will be like that for the foreseeable future, is I'm just using a chain, and I'm going to just use that chain basically until it's falling off. So it's going to wear out the cassette and the chain rings with that chain. But because I don't recommend doing like sprints or really hard efforts on the turbo trainer, I don't think that's a good idea. The turbo trainer is good for just being able to ride maybe every day. So I referred to, if you're scared going out and cycling on the roads with other road users, i.e. people who are in cars, and you're scared about, it's scary, then you can ride and you can have a chain and a cassette and the chain rings. You can have it all in one and just use it over and over and over again. And the great thing about that is because you're inside and you're not doing any sprints, the only reason that might become an issue of just wearing out the chain and all of the drivetrain in one is you might get a slip of a gear if you do a little sprint and you might fall off. Whereas if you're just riding, you're literally just riding, you're just getting in your hours, you're just getting the legs turning over, you're getting in the miles on the bike inside. You're not looking to do a Tour de France or World Championship winning sprint. You're just doing an hour or 2 hours or 20 minutes or half an hour, and you're just enjoying that time that you have while you're on the bike. So I set up the bike myself, and there's some things that I might go to a bike shop for, but setting up your indoor bike with rim brakes, okay, all rim brakes, mechanical. So this is on the indoor bike here. I've got a Giant Contend. It's set up with Shimano 105 Everything is mechanical and metal. So the handlebars, yes, they're metal. So one thing you have to be careful with metal bars, depending on how sweaty you get, is there can be lots of corrosion in here underneath the bar tape if you're using them for months and years at a time. So it can be a good idea just to change over the bar tape every now and then, just to stop that buildup of corrosion. So salt from your sweat, if you get that. And yeah, the frame's metal. I've got a specific indoor tire, which you don't need. Don't necessarily need. You can just use an old training tire. Got an old training tire in the front, and I used that bike. I used the bike, and what I've done is I bought myself a cheap TV. So this TV has now been on the wall. So I got one of them. So this TV is now 5 years old, and it's been on the wall in the garage through every season, all 4 seasons for 5 years, and it still works perfectly fine, and I still protect it in this original packaging. And I still use the original packaging, and then I use an old sleeping bag just to keep it from changing temperature too much. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to do in a moment, but I use this as my entertainment system. Okay, so isn't that great? Look, there's no reason to be bored, to find it torture. It can be fun, enjoyable, or as fun as it's going to be. But that's what I want to stress. It doesn't need to be a difficult. So many people, they're always trying to look for different ways in order to not, put up barriers, not to be healthy, not to form a health-based lifestyle. I'm reluctant to do riding indoors. I'll be the first one to say, put my hands up and say, yeah, I'm not a massive fan of it. But wow, is it much better to get it out of the way every day and make it part of your routine. And then I always find after I've done my riding on the bike, I get this positive glow of endorphins and good feelings, positive feelings in my own mind, a nice little buzz from doing the exercise. So I'm probably going to do about an hour today. So I haven't actually ridden the indoor bike since last winter. So it's been almost 12 months. So that's why I had to do all this changing over of the outdoor bike. So I also use, I ride to power. So I have a power meter. That's part of what I was doing on the crank. I've got a power meter crank that I use to measure my effort and ride to. So that's why I recommend, that can be, that can be a more expensive part. That can be something that's more expensive is if you're then going to incorporate power meter, which I do always recommend to use, because that allows you to guides you, gives you a nice guide so that you can record what you're doing, so that that what you maybe, if you're eating, your lifestyle. The more unhealthy you are, your power goes down. And also the power meter is just there as a guide. Okay, it's just there to guide you. You shouldn't be riding to the power meter. You should just use the power meter to make sure that you're always riding at a level that you can maintain. So many people in races and so many life stories, you hear, you start out you go out the gates too fast, too soon, too hard, too soon. And then by the end, you're just hardly moving, so it's the equivalent of that with a power meter. You can just, for me, I'll just maybe choose 200 watts, start at 200 watts, and then at the end of the hour, I'll still be doing 200 watts. Whereas if I just suddenly go out too hard at 280 watts, so I just stick to 200 watts today. So I'll show you now what I'm going to link up the TV to. Here is the entertainment system. So I've got the TV plugged in. So yeah, let's say this is 5 years old, still going strong. Modern technology. I've got my old PlayStation 3, which I have from when I was a child, a kid growing up, and it's still working. Still works perfectly, actually. There's nothing wrong with it. And it's almost 15 years old. So crazy in this one world for things to last more than a few seconds. And you could watch DVDs, like a silly thing like Police Squad. You could watch YouTube. So if you have this PlayStation is connected to, you hear the beep. It's connected to the TV via HDMI. You can also mirror. So most modern smartphones have the ability to mirror the screens. Ooh. The only problem I've noticed now with this PlayStation is it always now comes up with set time and date every time it comes on. So I think that might be an issue. The only issue that it has had, and it's only just started doing it after 15 years. So that's a bit worrying. But you can have your smartphone, you can mirror the smartphone to the TV and watch YouTube videos on your favorite YouTube channel, like this one, Life Bikes, Bananas and Spice. Okay, got loads of videos for you to watch if you want to improve your life quality and your health. And I've got a little bag of sweets there, little bag of sweets for fuel during the ride. So vegan gummy sweets, and you can listen to music as well. The only annoying thing I'm going to have to do, the last thing that I need to do, is I need to put on a little mount here. So I'm going to be using a little bike computer to so while I'm riding, I'm just going to glance at the bike computer just to make sure that I'm, at the level of effort that I want to do. So there you go. There's no reason, that you don't need to ride. I think the best way to enjoy the bicycle is definitely outside. But if the weather is too bad, or you are scared of other road users, other people on cars. So you're not scared of anything else, are you, when you're out on the road? You're not scared of, a deer being on the road, or another cyclist on the road, or a little badger, or a little squirrel, or a rabbit, other animals, other creatures on the road. But when a human being gets in a car, yes, it's like something from hell, isn't it? But that's why I say, the more people on bikes, the less people on cars, the less scary the roads are, and therefore more people want to be on bikes, so there's less cars on the road, and there's like a positive feedback system, whereas at the moment it's a negative feedback system. It's, well, cycling's scary because there's so many cars, so I'll have to drive everywhere because I can't cycle anywhere because it's too scary to ride a bike. Whereas if people were more, well, I'll use public transport, or I'll use the bike when I can, there would be less people on the road. And then you could say there would be less road rage because there'd be less traffic, which is induced by more people driving rather than more people cycling. And that's why I always find bizarre is people think the traffic is caused by other road users. So when people are in long lines of traffic, they don't see, well, because they're in a long line of traffic of cars, it's someone else. It's other road users that are causing long lines of traffic of cars. Well, it's not. It's because there's long lines of traffic of cars. It's obvious, okay? So less cars equals less traffic. More bicycles equals less traffic. Less congestion, less stress, less road rage, no road rage. When you're on the bike, if you have road rage while you're on the bike and you want to pedal your little legs off to get out all your adrenaline and vile hatred that you might have, or whatever it is that causes road rage, you're not going to be able to just suddenly go to 150 miles an hour in the blink of an eye. If you absolutely put all your anger through the pedals, put all your weight and anger through the pedals, in 30 seconds, you're going to have got it all out, and you're only going to get to about 20 miles an hour, and then you're going to just get it all out, okay? Whereas in a car, you put your foot down and you can just be incredibly destructive. Anyway, that's more of a rant. I'm sorry about that. So this is not quite, it's not exactly the same position as my outdoor bike, so the geometry is slightly different, but it can be, you know, a good idea to find the most comfortable position for you. And the great thing about these indoor bikes is if you get yourself a camera and video yourself on the bike, you can adjust all of these different variables. So the bicycle is almost infinitely adjustable, sorry. So you can move the saddle forwards and backwards, okay? So that's fore and aft, or aft and fore, I can never remember. So fore and aft. You can also raise the saddle by moving the seat tube up and down. So that goes forwards and backwards, up and down. And also you can change the angle of saddle, so the nose can be further down or further up. Generally flat, about flat, or you could say neutral. So the bubble, if you have a spirit level, the bubble will be in the middle, so flat. I've got a little step here, little block, little step, so that the front tire, or front wheel, front tire is level with the back, so you're not feeling like you've got more pressure on the front. You can change the length of the stem. You can, as long as you've got an individual stem, individual bar. So I don't recommend a all-in-one stem and bar. So individual stem, individual bar. And that allows you to tip, so move the bar forward, sort of up and down. So once these are attached, the brake levers, the gear levers, you can move the bar, twist it, so it makes your wrists more comfortable, your shoulders and your neck more comfortable, so you can shorten that. And also if you have an indoor bike, you can leave a little bit of stack, of spaces on the top to increase or lower or increase, but you know, that's not particularly important. You know, you can change that, the height of your bar, by getting a stem that is more inclined or less inclined. And you know, yeah, you can change the length of your cranks. You know, there's you know, infinite adjustability with the bike, so you don't need to be uncomfortable. You can go through all of these factors and make sure that it's comfortable for you. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and yeah, like and subscribe and share with people who, you know, they want to get healthy and fit. You know, part of the lifestyle, you know, I always go on about is cycling for weight loss and health, mitochondrial function and health. But you know, this video, yeah, cycling, but also remember, the food is the most important thing that will determine how healthy you are. And that should be, if you are in a health-based lifestyle and not worrying about what other people think, like, oh, I need to continue to eat bacon and eggs to get healthy, and steak and fish and all of these destructive food products. If you want to be healthy and you don't care what other people think about you, and you do care about your health, it's a starch and fruit-based lifestyle, which is naturally high carbohydrate, low fat, low protein. And you're not seduced by the food industry telling you about how you should poison yourself with all these carcinogens, obesinogens, atherosclerosis inducing foods that clog up your arteries, okay? Yeah, vegan if you want to call it that, or just say you're eating a starch and fruit-based traditional diet of human beings. Good. And then you put that alongside the cycling, and if you need to lose weight, wow, you'll look great. So there you go. If you want any more answers, you know, at the moment I'm currently taking a break from the comment section, because as I say every time, a channel that tries to help people to improve their health, making the world a better place. The world we live in at the moment is social media. Media has just become entertainment. So even important videos like this, where it's entertaining if you want to take entertainment from it, but I'm just trying to educate people. So if I was to go out and literally educate people doing a lecture somewhere out in the real world, I can do it here on the internet. But the only problem is, everything has just become entertainment. So if I say eat these foods to be healthy, ride a bicycle, all I'll get is, well, you need to eat these Western foods, animal products that are carcinogens, they're causing chronic disease. That's obvious. The Western society is a meat-based culture, and that's where all chronic disease is. So heart disease and cancer and diabetes, and then you've got all the other comorbidities like hypertension. And then I get all the standard comments. And then with the bicycle, I got all the standard comments like, "Oh, cyclists cause climate change. Vegans and cyclists are causing climate change." Oh, okay. It figures, doesn't it? It makes sense. A bicycle makes more carbon emissions. Yeah, and a vegan, okay. But it's just, I think a lot of these things, it's the food industry, automotive industry, the capitalist system. So social media is just run by the elite or corporations to generate lots of money. And I think a lot of the comments actually are people who are paid. It's AI, and then it's just horrible people. So if you do have any questions, I'll leave an email in the description. You can send me a question on the email, and then I'll either make a video for that, so we can help everyone, because other people might have the same question, or I'll just answer you directly if it's personal. So there you go. So thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the next one. And share the video with people who want to get healthy, and also check out other videos where you'll be able to see my adventures on the bike, and you'll be able to see that maybe just don't let fear rule your life. There are some amazing adventures that you can have out there on the bike if you just but I can understand the fear at the same time. So this can be your adventure if you want to do that. So there you go. Cycling is the best form of moving your body to lose weight. It's not running, it's not going to the gym, it's cycling. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.